talk and do all of that fun stuff. So we are here at the Viva Moschino exhibition with Annie Carlano, the curator. So let's talk about the different themes, because I believe that's where you were going. That he had
Exactly.
so many different pieces and so many different. I'll just go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, in putting together the exhibition, we couldn't really install it in a linear way.
Yes.
Starting with his earliest designs from 1983, going to his death in 94, because he created some of the same works multiple years, and that was to confound the consumer and the curators. He believed that fashion should be timeless. You should be able to wear it the year it was made, 10 years later. He also believed you could wear an evening gown with sneakers.
Of course.
You could wear a t-shirt with fancy trousers.
Yes.
And so mix and match, do what you want. And his own motto, his mantra actually, was I am what I am. And so by extension, he wanted you to be who you were.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to dictate what you wore, which is what most fashion designers do.
Right.
And it's what the fashion industry does. He wanted you to be who you were, wear whatever. He wanted you to be comfortable and happy. And so in looking through his body of work, I came up with 6 themes that permeate all of it. Now there's a lot of overlapping of themes. So even though an object might be in our first theme here, which is social commentary,
Yes.
it might have overlap with sartorial
Sure.
sensation or Chanel or cartoon culture. But for the most part, these works speak to what I think is the most important contribution culturally of Franco Moschino, which is his deep interest in communicating important personal philosophies, important political views, and cultural views through fashion. And sometimes it's accomplished very directly through words.
And very simply, might I add.
Very. This is Franco's take on the little black dress. Every fashion designer tries to create the perfect little black dress for women. That's because it's never been done. It's either not the right length for some people, not the right drape, not the right cut. So here, I think he comes pretty darn near perfection in the cut, so the pattern pieces, which are very flattering and they follow the curves of the body.
Yes.
And the fabric, it's a wool blend, wool and synthetic blend. It's very elastic.
It looks super comfortable, too.
It's super comfortable, and it's not too short and not too long. It's not too revealing in the neckline. It has armholes that are substantial, so you're not, just to be quite frank, it's not hugging the body so that your fat overhangs.
Right.
He tries to make women look beautiful. And then his message, be simple. You have to remember that his first language was Italian. Although he spoke English, and there's an interview with him in English in our resource room. But what he really means is simplify. Simplify your life, simplify your wardrobe.
Everything, yeah.
And what I think is really moving for me is this dress was gifted to us by a teenager.
Wow, really?
By a young woman, a young girl, who is the daughter of a fashion collector and the granddaughter of a fashion collector.
Oh, wow.
And when it was suggested to me that this dress, when I saw it in a private collection, be gifted to this young girl who was interested, I said, but it's a museum quality work, it should come to the museum. Unbeknownst to me, it wound up being gifted to us.
Awesome.
but this is Rosalie Grubb, who's a Charlottean. She's the daughter of Deirdre Grubb, who really, we have to credit Deirdre with planting the seed, in my mind, that resulted in this exhibition.
Yes, yes. I was going to say, because this is the first American retrospective, correct?
It
and
is.
So how did the Mint Museum end up with this exhibit?
Well, makes me proud of Charlotteans. I was having a conversation with Deirdre Grubb, who's a very prominent leader in our community and a strong supporter of the Mint. And she was telling me about the fact that her mother, who lives in the Midwest, has a large collection of works by Moschino.
Yes.
And she was wearing this suit at the time.
Which one? The one with the knot? Excellent.
The dinner suit.
Yes.
Cutlery. She wasn't wearing that very suit.
Okay.
But she was wearing this design, and it's very surreal.
Another
It's
thing.
iconic, which
Yes.
is another theme, and that's because Moschino was really deeply interested in the Surrealist movement, particularly painting, but also as it related to fashion, the Parisian-based Schiaparelli, for example, in the 30s and 40s, did a lot of designs inspired by her friends Max Ernst, Man Ray, placing objects in unusual locations, which displacement is a concept of surrealism. And for example, so she had her famous shoe hat. So there's a shoe upside down on a hat. There's a lobster hat. There's a snake dress, et cetera, et cetera. So here, Franco's taking cutlery and putting it not on the table, but on the torso.
Right.
And so Deirdre's telling me about Moschino, and I'm thinking in my mind, really, Franco Moschino, that was just all that fun, frivolous stuff in the 80s. I remember it. But I didn't remember it as being artistically significant. But she kept bugging me, subtly.
Over a period of a few months?
A few months.
Okay.
A few months. And I said, you know what? I want to look at a lot of Franco Moschino and understand what this is all about. And I did that, and I was blown away by the creativity. So that's all of this interesting artistic composition, but also from a fashion perspective, the craft of fashion, the pattern pieces, the construction, his choice of fabrics.
Yes.
Many of them are pure wool or cotton or silk, but most of them are blends. I mean, he had people working for him charged very directly with creating a particular fabric to serve a particular design. So he understood materials and process.
Yes.
And he also sought out in and around Milan very small workshops to produce work for him. And he was working at a time that's nearly gone, when fashion designers designed, and they were the head of their companies. Now fashion designers are what we call creative directors. They work, they don't have their own company, they're owned by a big conglomerate. And most things are done quite industrially and with computers. And the craft of, especially haute couture, is waning. And this is a big crisis right now. So you're looking at a designer who worked very much the same way they did in the 18th century, supervising workshops of people who were creating things by hand.
Absolutely.
And obviously a lot of things are done on a sewing machine, but not on a big factory level, not at all in terms of the work of Franco Moschino between 1983 and 94.
And so I had another question. So that's when he's created Moschino, was 1983? Okay. So let's walk a little more. I noticed he had his first men's collection. Is that correct? In 86 or so?
He did. He designed for men. He even designed for he had a Moschino Bambino line. He designed for everyone, but he loved women. He felt as a gay man. He actually said that gay men were the best fashion designers for women because they understood how a woman wanted to feel. A straight man couldn't do that. And interestingly enough, he never talked about a female fashion designer. And I think that's because he was asked that question in the context of some of the great male designers. And I thought it was a very interesting comment. And whether it's true or not, we do know that all of his fashions are very much about form and function.
Yes.
They are comfortable. That mattered to him, and it didn't matter to everyone.
I guess, so my question is, since he had a menswear collection, and I just seen, are those the menswear pieces there?
We have
a few?
Menswear.
Okay.
But if you were going to ask me why is there not more menswear
yes.
in the show, I have two answers to that question.
Okay.
The first is we only had 5,000 square feet.
Okay.
So we had to focus, and we are primarily focused on women's wear. But within women's wear, we're covering couture, ready wear, resort wear, Moschino jeans, and leather goods.
And I see you have a recycled piece as well.
This is the most rare work.
Oh, okay. Yes, let's go.
And I'll tell you why. So these two works are from the last collection he created.
Oh, this was as well?
That
I
was
know
shown.
that one.
They're both from the end of his life. When he was able to free himself from, he was a very wealthy man. Fashion made him a very wealthy man. And he knew he was sick, and so he said, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm not going to worry about commercial success. So he was very interested in the environment, sustainability, and he started creating, this is called Eco-Nature, environmentally friendly clothing. It's made of natural fibers that are dyed with mineral and plant sources. So that's a funny shade of green, but it's because it's natural. And even the subject is nature. She's a sunflower coming out of the earth. And it's very, very rare because this did not go over well commercially.
Sure.
It's not flashy, but it has this political message. And at the same time, he was interested in recycling, which we now call upcycling. Right? This is a ball gown made of recycled large city trash bags from the city of Faenza, which is in northeastern Italy. And he uses this humble material, but I will tell you,
to create something magical,
it's so
right?
Beautiful. It's bone. It's lined
I
and
see
boned.
that. I see.
It's created in a couture way.
Just imagine the movement
But
on this.
we do, on the runway, she wore a cowboy hat, a black cowboy hat. And I call it the butterfly dress. He never called it.
Okay.
But when this dress moved down the runway, and you can see in this runway shot, you get a sense of the way the sculpture moves, so to speak. And the reason we have the videos is so important, because part of what you can't see right now is fashion it's designed to move with you. And the success of a design depends on how well it moves and what it does when it moves. And we can't show you that on a static mannequin.
Right.
So we're showing you not exactly this design right now, but what it looks like when it moves. And this flutters like a butterfly. It's very beautiful. And it also, I think, is a great message to young designers or people thinking about a career in fashion. You don't have to buy fancy silks. Be creative, because look what he did. This is so rare. This is rare because this is from the runway.
Yes.
This was never put into production.
Yeah.
So there's only one of these in the world.
Super rare.
Yeah.
So how did you decide which pieces will be a part of this exhibit? I mean, I know you borrowed and were gifted certain items, but I'm sure you were overwhelmed with inventory, so to speak. So what was your process in determining, oh, I want this gown, I want that dress, I want that suit?
Well, that's always the hardest part, I think.
Yeah.
And that is at the core of what curating is. It's the choices you make. So, in studying everything, and there were thousands
Yes,
of works to choose from through all the line, couture, ready-wear, jeans. Bambino, we decided not to go there. And we decided not to do menswear very extensively. So knowing that we could have about a core of 40 key works, what I started to do is a historical survey. So what had the critics said during his time, right? What did I see in all the ads? What did he say in interviews? And then what was my own gut telling me? So pretty much, even just from memory, because I was there in the 80s,
Right.
I knew hands down, the Liechtenstein suit is iconic, smiley face iconic. And then the use of the cow, I knew we had to have something with the cow. I mean, that's really what I remembered. What I hadn't remembered so well was his love and all the tributes he paid to Coco Chanel and the House of Chanel, even under Karl Lagerfeld.
Which is, again, another theme, right?
It's
The
another
Chanel
theme,
thing.
and that it's not that he was stealing her designs, but he often said he could never improve on the genius of certain designers.
Yes.
For their contributions. And for Chanel, it's many things. You may not know this, but she was the first designer to say women should wear black all the time. It's very flattering, because prior to the 1920s, women were only wearing black for funerals. And so her point was, with a little black dress, and she created the little black dress, you can accessorize. And how did you accessorize? Pearls. Then for women in the workplace, she created very comfortable suits. And what she did was she simplified. She took the collars off, so they're all, her famous collarless, very boxy, and very simple in cut suits became iconic. And, she was famous for oversized buttons. She was famous
Just the
for,
details.
Lots of details. And she was also famous for these plaid bouquet. Plaid boucle. You have to cut that one. Fabric. And he takes generic suit. Yeah, but he punks it up. So you got to remember that this is the 80s, so he's early 80s. He's punking it up with safety pins of gold. And then here, this one's a little bit Chanel, a little bit surreal, putting large hoop earrings.
Yes.
And what you miss with this outfit is the sound when you move.
I was
These
gonna say.
clank. It's a
Yes.
really nice. It reminds me of my chimes
Because it's
outside
on the
on my
torso
porch.
of this inner piece, correct? Also
Yep.
as well?
That's the bodice.
Okay, yeah.
That's the bodice.
Okay.
Yeah.